So, one thing that's not really that surprising is the fact that Cincinnati's going to have a lot of primetime games next season. Whenever a team becomes to a point where they really get to that oomph level where everyone wants to watch them, they're finally getting the credit they deserve. Well, this is what you expect out of this exact scenario. So, Cincinnati next season might be getting a lot more than most teams ever gotten in primetime performances. So, after receiving a handful of appearances last year, Mike North, the NFL vice president for broadcasting, says Joe Burrow and the Bengals might just max out the number of allotted slots per team. I would expect to be very close to maxed out in terms of their primetime performances appearances. North said, according to Golf Hobson of Bengals.com, you can find a really good national televised game for probably 12 of their 17 games. That tells you what we think of the Bengals. They're going to be seeing a lot of national television. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And again, I say this as complete as a joke because I don't think this is going to happen, nor I pray it doesn't happen, is that this is a way for the NFL to absolutely shaft the Bengals yet again by giving them primetime games, and they give the special refs that call against them in these primetime games. But hopefully this actually means Cincinnati is going to get the respect they deserve and the respect that, they have earned over this, crazy run the last 3 seasons under Joe Burrow. But at the same time, though, it is the NFL, so I would not be surprised if some nonsense ends up happening. But at the same time, it's like this, what I've been talking about on this channel for the last couple of months is this team is a team of destiny. This is truly a team that can take off and go win a couple Super Bowls, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. And, they're just getting better and better each season. And honestly, I think in all their primetime games, I had them going 15 and 2. Well, yeah, 15 and 2 is what I project them to go next season. I could see them winning every single primetime game. Now we know already they're most likely going to start the season versus the Kansas City Chiefs on the Thursday night game opener. Chiefs won the Super Bowl, so they get the home opener, the Thursday night to begin the season. Most likely, we're going to see that being against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's going to be a game that everyone wants to see, everyone wants to talk about, and everyone is just going to be like, oh my God, this is the game. Now, if we go through the lineup, the teams are playing, the game against, like, for example, the Bills, if the Chiefs are going to be week 1, then most likely the Bills are going to be later on in the season. And I'm talking about probably week 16, week 17, because it's going to be the end of the season when, the games are coming down to 1 or 2 seeds and who's going to make the playoffs, who's not going to make the playoffs. Probably that's when Buffalo is going to be shown then. And again, that probably will end up becoming a Saturday night primetime game. A Ravens game, one of the two, will obviously be a primetime game, either Thursday or a Sunday game. That's usually how it always works in the AFC North. You'll probably have a Steelers game that's going to be a primetime game. So if we think about this logically, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, right? And Bills. 5 primetime games right there. Other than that, the Vikings could be a primetime game. It really depends on how good, not how good the teams are, because obviously the schedule comes out way before we find out how good the teams are, or else the Colts and Broncos would not have primetime games the last couple of years, but they've had way too many, especially under the whole Russell Wilson scenario. With that being said, though, yeah, so we can probably expect I would say, a decent amount. And again, the Vikings game will probably be prime time. They're expected to be good. They're expected to bring in a lot of attention. And the Bengals, obviously being a primetime candidate right now for a lot of primetime games, will probably play the Vikings in that scenario. Now, again, like I said, I looked at their schedule, and maybe I'm just being biased here as a Bengals fan, but I just don't see too many, opponents where I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, yeah, this team is going to be a hard game, or this game's going to be a hard game. Don't get me wrong, it's never going to be easy playing against the the Ravens. It's never going to be easy playing against the Steelers or the Browns, especially when it's in their home turf. But other than the Bills game, Vikings game, and Chiefs game, these other games really do not scare me. The 49ers might, and that's definitely going to be a primetime game for obvious reasons. Cardinals probably will not be a primetime game. My guess is the away games, the home games, like, Cincy at home versus the Ravens. You could see, if Lamar Jackson come back to the Ravens, you could see two primetime games. Ravens away and Ravens home. Maybe possibly Steelers away and Steelers home, depending on how good Kenny Pickett's doing. But if I'm being honest here, so let's go away games. KC, probably. Tennessee, no. 49ers, probably. And I'm talking about probably for primetime games. Jacksonville, no. Arizona, probably not. Any of the three, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, possible. Home games. Buffalo, probably yes. 1,000% going to be primetime game. Vikings, probably so. Seahawks, I'd probably say no. Rams, probably no. Colts, no. Texans, no. And then obviously the three home games versus the Ravens, Browns, Steelers, always probable. So it's very possible that they could max out their primetime games next year. And this is just going to show even more and more how amazing this team really is. I cannot wait for this team to actually get their first Super Bowl win, kind of get that behind them, because I think once they taste the actual victory, right? Once they taste that sweetness of a Super Bowl, I think there's nothing that's going to stop them from going to win 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Especially once they get that, once you get the first one under your belt, that's when you just take off, right? You just pounce. I mean, literally the Bengal tiger, right? What does the tiger do? Once they get the taste of meat, they just pounce. They go crazy. So this is what I think is honestly what's going to happen next season. I think next season is the window to the future of greatness. So I'm definitely going to say this right now, and I'll say it again. I said it last season when the Bengals saw the 0-2, and everyone telling me, oh, the Bengals are done. The Bengals are done. They have zero chance. They're 0-2. The Super Bowl hangover. The run is done. The run is over. Well, guess what? They flipped the script. They didn't follow the script that people wanted them to follow, and they took off and they went to the AFC Championship game. And if not for some bullcrap refs, they would have won the Super Bowl and most likely won the Super Bowl. So this is it. This is the time of destiny, boys. This is the script writers don't know what they're doing here, but I'm gonna tell you right now. Just looking at these primetime games, although can be scary because I always did it like this, right? Primetime games, you never know what's going to happen. They could be crazy great games or crazy awful games because bad teams can always do good in primetime games. You could see a team that's like, absolute dog water go out there and play crazy on primetime games. For the Bengals this next season, though, just don't mess up these primetime games. Like, don't, go out there and underplay an opponent and end up letting them beat you. If Lamar leaves the Ravens, then obviously, it's going to be still tough because AFC North no matter what. But, you're going to have to take care of the Ravens twice in that year. You're not going to you can't let them walk through you and, skate by with one free win. Not free win, but one win, right? But it's going to be a very, very good season nonetheless. I still say 15-2. I placed a bet down that the Bengals will go 15-2. I had them actually win the AFC, and I had them win the AFC North. I already placed my bets down, so I think 1,000% they're going to go ahead and do both. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.